so you mean it's not just car, watches, and trips, and don't have a schedule? What is real estate about?
Exactly. No. Fractional was a way to create wealth without having to disburse the 100% of the value of the property, but it was a shared ownership of one same property.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we both are in the same agreement. Real estate is an amazing investment, regardless of some opinions and regardless of market turmoil. It
Mhm.
is timing the market for me is impossible, but being at the right time in the right place is what really makes a difference. So I always believe that when I see that the market is doing bad or doing great, I always have the word market. So it is a market for this. You've been a coach since 2016, and your real estate career is way beyond that time frame. An amazing leader for Coldwell Banker Mexico for over 19 years. For what I got here, and I got the pleasure to experience knowing you on a personal level. But as a coach, Sandra, as someone that deals with hundreds of agents in a yearly basis, why you think they believe, or their perception is, that they have a me problem, not a we problem, that is not global, that because they are, I don't know, in Dubai or in Spain or in the US, they have a different market? What do you think is that misperception of agents thinking that the problem is so unique? Sandra, what a pleasure to have you here. I'm beyond excited.
Thank you, Miguel. The pleasure is all mine. And while working with you is always a growing experience. And combining both our views of business, of what global looks like, and how global is not an option. Global is the new normal, not just in terms of Europe is there or the United States is here, but the amount of people that are moving because of various reasons around the globe. And having real estate in common, how that commonality makes it clear that now more than ever, real estate needs to be global.
And it's at times overwhelming right now with AI and everything that happens so fast. It feels like yesterday, November 22nd, 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT. But you're absolutely right. And I think the question that we will have to uncover today is how we're going to debunk the concept that real estate is local, and what makes real estate so universal. What we learn by interacting with people of some different places in the globe.
Real estate is universal just because of the fact that we all need a place to live, that it doesn't matter how the digital era that allows us to work from anywhere also allows us to live from anywhere. And from anywhere we live, we need a place to live.
100%.
That's what makes real estate so universal. But also, let's consider that real estate is one of the primary sources of investment. So it's not just the stock market, it's not just the governmental funds, but also real estate. And real estate has changed so much over the last 5 years that we are looking at real estate opportunities in investment globally, because where some areas, the ROI or the return on investment is booming, in some other areas, because of how the market is changing due to all of the macroeconomical pressures, the investors are also looking for those good investments in real estate. Let's talk Dubai, for example. Let's talk second home markets. Let's talk the opportunities of Airbnbs, of
Right.
second homes, of rental homes, and how we are thinking about when we're digital nomads, how our homes make us money.
The human connection with an asset, with a real estate asset, and how universal it is, right? How the perception of success is associated at times with the fact that we owned something, right? For our own benefit or what we want to occupy, like you say, but beyond that, right? And beyond borders, to invest globally. I mean, Dubai is crazy now with this a new way to buy in fractions of a property that is unattainable to some, that it becomes very, very, very possible. Regardless of market fluctuations that we see or technical expertise of one, we see the universality of human connection with the emotional experiences that they live, and how the trust is now beyond any borders or any frontiers, and is leaning on social media, is leaning on experiences of others. But you say something that I want to ask you elaborate. I think Airbnb is being a concept that is in existence for such a long time, but it's under pressure right now because economic turmoil. What do you see that the Airbnb market will do in this global economy that we're living in?
Well, there are so many global platforms, not just Airbnb, but let's call it seasonal or temporary rentals. And those are opportunities to make money. But while there are some restrictions worldwide, there are some places that still remain untouched, right? Like in the United States, there are some restrictions for Airbnb, depending on the areas, depending on the HOAs, depending on the taxes. In most of the world, Airbnb or um, let's call it temporary rentals, it's still a boom. And we're just touching the surface, which is the United States, maybe Mexico, maybe Latin America, but Europe is an open market, and Asia.
Right,
We don't turn to look at Asia as often as we would turn to look at maybe Europe, but fractionals have been in the market for the longest time. And fractional was a way to create wealth without having to disburse the 100% of the value of the property, but it was a shared ownership of one same property that could have all of the characteristics of a property that I used to own on my own, right? You could
hmm
still it could still be in a fund. You could still be part of a will. You can have heirs on a fractional, right? So we're
right,
having a lot of different combinations on what a piece of real estate can be. However,
right.
it still remains one of the most safe or less speculative assets that we can invest on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we both are in the same agreement. Real estate is an amazing investment, regardless of some opinions and regardless of market turmoil. It
Mhm.
is timing the market for me is impossible, but being at the right time in the right place is what really makes a difference. So I always believe that when I see that the market is doing bad or doing great, I always have the word market. So it is a market for this. You've been a coach since 2016, and your real estate career is way beyond that time frame. An amazing leader for Coldwell Banker Mexico for over 19 years. For what I got here, and I got the pleasure to experience knowing you in a personal level. But as a coach, Sandra, as someone that deals with hundreds of agents in a yearly basis, why you think they believe, or their perception is that they have a me problem, not a we problem, that is no global, that because they are, I don't know, in Dubai or in Spain or in the US, they have a different market. What you think is that misperception of agents thinking that the problem is so unique?
I think it might be because of the laws and regulations, and sometimes because of the lack of knowledge of tapping into different markets. But I have the opportunity to work with agents worldwide, right? And I am seeing right now a lot of inclination of agents that are in specific markets to have strategic alliances with global clients, right? Because of the golden visas, because of the opportunities for to migrate, because of what tax incentives can have depending on where you buy real estate. However, we think that real estate is overall different in every country, but in every country, it has a lot of similar factors in common. Of course, we need to understand that some markets need a license to participate in the real estate market, like in some markets in Europe or definitely in the United States. We really need to understand that technology is different across. Not all markets have an MLS. That's important. Not all markets have the level of technology that the United States has, and how those um, technology opportunities connect into the real estate transaction. What I've seen is that that doesn't happen worldwide like it happens in the United States. So I also think that the real estate agent who woke up from their bed right now and said, I'm going to start working in real estate because it's easy. We need to think that about that twice, because definitely real estate is as complex to understand financially, law wise, document wise, transactionally wise, as it is to be a stockbroker. So we as real estate agents have the responsibility to be holistic, not just thinking that it's going to be easy or that one transaction will make my year, because real estate has become as complex and as regulated as has the stock market.
Oh, so you mean it's not just car, watches, and trips, and don't have a schedule? What is real estate about?
Exactly. No. So when we
Right.
think that it's easy, we should think twice about it being easy, because we're also dealing with a powerful factor that maybe the stock market or other investment markets don't deal with, which is the emotion, which is the need for certainty, which is the need to have a roof over our heads, and which is the need to have a roof over the heads of our families, and most importantly, to leave a legacy, right? Before, and that was not such a long time ago, just the world has changed so much. We used to think that we would buy a home and we would stay in that home forever. But the
Forever.
truth is that in the United States, a person might at least have between 7 and 9 real estate transactions in their life.
Right. The average have moved up a little bit, but now it's every 7 years. Now we used to do our projections and predictability analysis in the lending side. We talk about every 5 years. Right now we see in 7 years, but it's just because of affordability and current market conditions and multi-generational occupancies. But absolutely, meaning the fact that we're moving in from place to place in our lifetime really makes more relevant to understand this, and that also takes us to what to me is the most important piece of this conversation today: the human factor, right? As a real estate agent, you mentioned is the emotions. We were talking about the emotional component of the transaction, the emotional factor that is not present when you are buying or selling stocks. And someone can argue and debate us on that and say that it's not true, but it's so different. The feeling of I lost money on a piece of paper that I have to move my family to another place, or I made the wrong decision because it's the emotion. Or when my child was born, or when my mom was sheltered when she was ill. Those things are really meaningful and create a huge emotional attachment to the asset itself, because it's beyond the monetary factor that we invest into it, right? That's I say that the houses are being sold because of the kitchen and the bathrooms. Nobody says because of the ROI. It's just because how they look and make you feel.